Imagine this. You're born into a house where the rules are carved into stone long before you arrived. The walls are covered with portraits of ancestors whose lives were shaped by fear, control, and dominance. These aren't the warm, wise elders of your dreams. They are the echoes of inherited bigotry and control. You don't see it at first. You play, you grow, you absorb. But then one day, you notice the silence you've been taught to keep, the judgments whispered but never questioned, the tightness in your chest when you want to speak your truth but fear what will follow. Here's this truth. This inheritance isn't your fault, but healing it is your responsibility. Because the house may not be yours to design, but how we live within these walls is our choice. The first step, opening the windows, letting in fresh air, questioning everything. You are not what you inherited, but you are the one who gets to inherit it. You are the one who gets to say, this ends with me. There's a saying, blood is thicker than water. But oftentimes we don't really understand the true meaning of the blood is thicker than water. It's the full saying is the blood of the coven is thicker than the water of the womb, which means that when we do blood pacts, when we find those our chosen family, the friends that end up turning into family, true community, people who want to grow, people who want to heal, people who want to strive for education, for learning, for unraveling these outdated belief systems, that bond is thicker. That's the blood of the coven, is thicker than the water of the womb, which means familial ties, our parents. We had it so backwards. We were taught that this meant that family was more important. But in all actuality, it means our chosen family, those who we choose to connect with, to bond with, to spend our time with. Those bonds are actually stronger and deserve more love and attention than our familial ties that connect us through a womb. In a matrilineal culture, the womb would most likely be stronger, but in a patriarchal condition, the blood of the covenant is stronger than the water of the womb. And that has to be in a patriarchal standpoint. In a matrilineal standpoint, no. These beliefs, these bigotries, this control, this dominance, we wouldn't even understand it, which is why so many of the cultures that were matrilineal were completely annihilated, because they couldn't even fathom the greed, the control, the dominance that these people instituted, and the practices that they used, claiming that the others were savages and they were civilized, so they had this privilege. And we're still seeing it with the 1%. We're still seeing this, that those who have it all still believe that they have control, dominance, are better than those without. And it's just not true. So yes, there is this point in time that family may not be there as much, but you will find the community that absolutely loves you unconditionally and is able to hear and see you for who you are, not for what their expectations want you to be. Children are to be seen and not heard. This was a common old refrain born of control and dominance, especially for those too young, too magical, too loud, too creative, too just everything. And when we are brought up with the program that we are to be seen and not heard, and that we are too much, we begin to actually believe that innately. And then we turn that into a superpower, something that we have contorted to think about ourselves, that maybe if I hold that, or maybe if I don't say that, maybe if I just feel the feelings of those around me, I can fix them. Maybe if I just keep silent enough, I can help those around me heal. Maybe they'll think that I'm special then. Maybe I'll get good attention. Maybe I'll be seen as the good girl, obedient. And maybe if I can avoid them seeing who I really am, they'll actually love me. I can blend in. They won't notice that I'm weird or different. These feelings often get buried so deeply that they later on affect relationships, friendships, work. We begin to think that we are better off not speaking our truth. We begin to truly believe, and we never grow up from being those children that are to be seen and not heard. At what point do we finally get to be seen? At what point do we finally get to be heard? Here's the twist, though. The silence that we held, that inward holdings of everybody else's emotions and feelings, and keeping the harmony so that we didn't speak our truth, because if we spoke our truth, then we created disharmony, and that wasn't a good thing to do. This wasn't a shield. This wasn't a superpower. This wasn't where our magic was. That is a false, outdated program. That was a cage to keep us locked in, to keep us obedient and controlled. And the only key to that cage is our truth, our voice, your truth, your voice. Speaking the truth, even if it trembles in your throat while you're saying it, is a powerful way to reclaim your right to take up space, to be seen and heard. The power of your voice, your truth, your weird, your too much, is your birthright. Let it be known. Let all of you be known. Bigotry, control, dominance, they're like ghosts that haunt the homes of our families. It moves through generations, whispering in quiet moments, rattling the walls when no one is looking. It doesn't show itself outright, but you feel it in the judgments passed down, in the sneers behind closed doors. When I would hear my parents or the other adults talking, I would notice words that they would use about maybe who is less than, who is another. They would make comments about the color of people's skin. They would make observations about who I should be afraid of, who was those to be looked up to, how I should value people that are oozing money, opulence, wealth, how that was something that was to be admired and looked up to. I didn't question them at first, obviously. I was little. I would just incorporate them into the imaginary games that I played, or with my dolls or Barbies. Because at first the ghost was so much a part of the furniture, the fabric of our home. It was always just there. But ghosts lose their power when we name them. When you say, "This is not mine to carry. This is not who I am. I do not honor those who would choose to have more than everyone else and then belittle those who have none, rather than show compassion, empathy, understanding. I chose to not allow my children, myself, to go to family gatherings where they thought that saying racist or inappropriate jokes was acceptable. I chose to no longer be a part of a space that was going to continue allowing this ghost to run and rule their thoughts and programs. Bigotry only survives in the shadows. When we bring it to light, it does dissolve. What will you do with the ghost that has been living in your house? Control disguises itself as safety. This is for your own good. Because I said so. Don't question the rules. Don't you want to be a good little girl? Please be obedient for me. At first, you believe it. I believed it. I believed the rules would protect me. Did you believe that the rules would protect you as well? That obedience is the price of love? But then you start to notice the cost, the shame that settles into your bones when you step out of line, the way that your spirit curls inward, smaller and smaller, to fit the expectations placed on you. Here's what they don't tell you. Control isn't love. It's fear. And breaking free doesn't mean you lose the love. It means you lose the fear that is controlling, contorting, and wrapping you into making yourself smaller and smaller, choosing comfort over adventure, choosing things that are not for you. They are not in a line with your biggest purpose. Freedom starts when you stop asking for permission to be yourself. It starts when you say, I am enough. I am worthy. I am free. And I can unconditionally love and accept myself. The rules were never yours to begin with. It was a cruel curse of an inheritance that has been passed down for far too long, and it can end with you. In my family, the mother line carried more than recipes and lullabies. It carried some toxic masculinity, control, dominance, fear. It carried a weight so heavy it bent the backs of the women who came before me. I didn't know this at first. I only knew that I felt the heaviness too. That I felt the pull to stay small, to control others, to try and manipulate and dominate, to try to do everything on my own and not ask for any help. To stay quiet while doing all of it, letting the resentment build up within me, but most of all, to stay obedient, despite the nagging shame and guilt that would constantly bubble up beneath the surface. But then I started to wonder, when I had my own babies, that was not the feelings that I wanted to pass on. What if the mother line didn't have to carry and pass on the pain, the toxicity, the dominance, the control, the fear, the shame, the guilt? What if it could carry strength? What if it could be the one to rewrite it? What if I could rewrite it? What if you could rewrite what the mother means, represents, carries? Reclaiming the mother line means healing what we've inherited. It means turning pain into power, silence into voice, control into aspects of unconditional love and acceptance. turning that fear, guilt, shame into love. It's not easy, but it is absolutely necessary. Because when we heal the mother line, we don't just heal ourselves, we heal generations to come. And even just going back 13 generations, that's over 4,000 grandmothers that are looking at us, applauding us, so thankful that we were brave enough to step across the imaginary line of a curse that has kept us small. There's 4,000 ancestors of grandmothers behind you, going only 13 generations back, all applauding you, holding you up, knowing that if you do this, you will change your life. You will begin to see, remember, and integrate your magical self.